Hey y'all, and welcome to Politabrawl. My name is Brian, and this GOP representative has had it up to here, not only with these ridiculous protesters, but the schools that enable and hire these people. Let's dive in.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to be honest. I find the testimony today both disgusting, dishonest, and to be gaslighting, and I'm going to point it out here. We've heard that we unequivocally denounce anti-Semitism, unwavering support for our Jewish students. We have a zero-tolerance policy, and we will not put up with a call for violence. So let's explore that. I'd like to start with Dr. Rodriguez. Emmanuel Ness, the chair of your political science department, said he supports, quote, resistance by any means necessary, which includes violence. How can you say those statements that you support your Jewish students? Shut up and get out of here.
Gentleman will suspend. Gentleman will suspend.
Get out of here, you loser. Come on. By the way, to be clear, I hold you all responsible for this. It is the attitude that you have allowed on your college campuses that make people think that this is okay. That is why this happens, because you have someone like Emmanuel Ness that says resistance by any means necessary, and I assume this person still works at your school. Is that correct?
Microphone, please.
Any call for violence against Jewish members of our community is entirely unacceptable.
So why does this person still work there?
Any individual or faculty that has a complaint of breaking our rules, we will investigate them and take the appropriate disciplinary action if warranted.
Corinna Mullen at John Jay College said, after October 7th, the right of Palestinian armed resistance is just, and just last month was filmed chanting, up, up, up with freedom, down, down, down with Zionist scum. This is a professor that teaches your Jewish students. How can you say you have an unwavering zero-tolerance policy when this person teaches at your school?
And I believe that faculty member is no longer teaching with the university. Any call for violence, any call for supporting Hamas or terrorism is entirely unacceptable, and we made those statements several times.
At Berkeley, you're next. You created in the fall of 2024, you named Usama Makdizi the inaugural chair of a new endowed program in Palestinian Arab studies. On October 7th, Makdizi described the Hamas attack against Israel as, quote, resistance. Why would you give a job? See, I understand freedom of speech, but you get to decide who to hire. Why would you give a position to someone who said October 7th was justified? Why?
Usama Makdizi, Professor Makdizi, is a fine scholar. He was awarded that position from his colleagues based on academic standards.
Great. So on February 5th, 2024, this great academic, you're showing the problem, said, quote, I could have been one of those who broke through the siege on October 7th. This is what you think is good, and then we're surprised when people come in here and behave this way. I'm going to move on to Georgetown. You've got a campus in Qatar. I note when my colleague, Vice Chair Owens, said, what would happen with a KKK student on campus? You said, yes, but. That's the problem with all of this. We believe that we should deal with racism, and we should, and I did a lot in the Florida legislature to do with that, but there should not be a but after it when it comes to anti-Semites. So at your school in Qatar, you had a October 24th, 2023, an event titled Decolonization is Not Just a Theory. It was an exhibition of armed resistance in Africa in solidarity with Palestine. What does decolonization is not just a theory mean to you, and what does it mean to Georgetown?
I don't have knowledge of that exhibition. This was a student-led event, Congressman.
All right, so I have 90 seconds left, and I'm going to end with this. I have a 17-year-old who will be applying to school next year. He's in Washington interning right now. And how in good conscience could you tell my son, who is Jewish, who's the reason I wear this kippah, how could you tell my son in good conscience that he would be safe at any of your schools? I'll give each of you, 20 seconds to try to answer that question.
I would deeply hope he would feel safe, and there's a reason for this at Georgetown. If Jewish students don't feel safe, if they have fear, if it's not just hurtful to them, it destroys our mission of interfaith dialogue.
They don't feel safe right now. Your turn.
I have spoken to many students. We have recruited actively in the Jewish community at CUNY. I've actually began a program of extending a program that we have of recruiting in the high schools to the yeshivas, which is College Now. And again, we have listened. I have met with the students, gone to Hillel, listened to their concerns, and I've told them that we need to do better. We have made the changes, and we're showing the results. And listening and being committed to their safety is something that I wake up every day to do.
Yeah, I don't even need an answer from Berkeley, given the answer to that question about that professor. I would tell you this: the Jewish students on your campus, they do not feel safe today, and you all should be ashamed about that. And with that, I yield back.
Man, Fine was on fire, and I don't blame him one bit. You can definitely tell this man's Jewish. He's wearing that little, I can never remember the name of that little cap that they wear. So, yeah, he's definitely Jewish. But if I was going to be blamed for certain problems in the world because of my race or my religion, I'd be a little bit mad too. Oh, wait a minute. I can't just sympathize. I can empathize with this. Okay? We see this in academia, not just in this weird rise of anti-Semitism. There has been this long-standing Marxist tradition that has been anti-Western ever since its inception. The whole idea of Marxism should have been thrown into the wood chipper of history, but it's kept alive by these ridiculous academics who want to use and continue to utilize those ideals and push these ridiculous narratives about how power dynamics work in the world, when the reality is Marx got nearly everything wrong except this. World history is not class struggle as in between the rich and the poor. It's the struggle between the dominant class and the ruling class. It's always the struggle of who's going to be king and how does the king placate the nobles. That's it. That's the one thing Marx got right. And yet, for some insipid reason, these people at our elite institutions, Berkeley, CUNY, I believe that's College and University of New York. You also have Georgetown. We have all these elite universities just inundated with this nutbag ideology, and it gets passed around as truth. It's no longer just the hippie liberal types. It is the full-on, they want the revolution types. This is why so many people are okay with the idea of defunding education. And I think we do need to take a deep, hard look at just how crazy these things get, because apparently that wasn't a student you saw getting rightfully thrown out of the room. That was an adult. That probably was someone that could be hired at one of these institutions as a low-level administrator. Shouldn't that send warning bells through your heads? That these are the people in charge of teaching our best students, or in the case of the Ivy League, our wealthiest students. And we have some of the best schools in the world, if not the best. The English might have Oxford, but we've got Harvard. I think we've eclipsed them in that regard, as a matter of fact. And so it's terrifying to me that not only are these people teaching our kids, but there's something else even worse that's going on underneath these videos. It's not just the fact that these universities are landing spots for these ridiculous Marxists who want to control everything. They're jealous of the fact that C students run the world, so they want to have a system where only the A students run the world. Okay? That's the sad truth. I think Truett Cathy said this at some college graduation somewhere. Raise your hand if you're a C student. Raise your hand if you're an A student. All right, A students, C students run the world. And it's kind of a true thing. The people who barely scraped by scholastically, but had a much more fun social life, they tend to do a lot better. And that's a painful thing for me to admit, because I graduated, I believe, with a 3.53 GPA, 3.51. So I graduated with honors. And yet I know the fact that the world is indeed run by these C students. And that makes these educators madder than anything. But there's something even worse going on in this video. And it's not even addressed properly. It's the idea that these schools aren't the incubators for these protests. It's much, much worse. See, these are merely the places where the students get to finally be free and live out their fantasies. And many of them go off and think that they're going to change the world by holding a protest. All because, for some reason, they want to support groups like Hamas. One of the worst of political groups, perhaps on the face of this planet right now. And they support them because they don't understand fully the reasons for the conflict, and they, for some reason, only see the world through these weird Marxist lenses, and they get, those ideas are reinforced in colleges. These kids are coming into school with these preconceived notions, and then they're finally given the opportunity to express these preconceived notions. Yes, our schools are captured. Our schools are captured, but this goes one degree deeper. I think that the issue actually lies in the fact that these students have been online for their entire lives. They have been just force-fed into this echo chamber of Reddit and Tumblr, and they're told nothing but nonsense and Marxist slop. It goes way beyond education, but that's where we need to start. That's what we have some control over. That's why we have these committee hearings. Because we want to fund our education. It's good to have an educated public, after all. But when these elite institutions have been completely captured by Marxist nut jobs, and people that are perfectly fine with espousing this very disturbing sort of rhetoric that is warping and twisting students' minds even further, I think we've got a problem, and I think the solution just might be in looking on on deciding whether or not we should, fully fund these universities with our tax dollars. Maybe that's the way to go. Let me know what you think is the best way to go below. But Representative Fine here is rightfully angry. He's right to be mad because his last argument is his best one. He's got a kid that's looking to go to college. And he's terrified that his son might wander around too close to one of these protests, and you never know what they're going to do after some of the arrests that we've made and some of the threats that we've heard. This stuff is rotten, this stuff is deep, and it starts by at least dealing it where we see the problem, and that is in our schools and universities right here and right now. Good for you, Representative Fine. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. My name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed that segment here on Politibrawl. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Until then, y'all have a good one.